All right, fam. Genesis chapter 1, verse 14, and we continue. God had just created the herbs. He had just said, let there be vegetations, the fruits, the vegetables, the seeds that bear fruit after its own kind. Um, in verse 14, it goes, and God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. So you see here, God is creating the reflectors of his light. Remember the light that he originally said, let there be light? Well, that was the source. That was God himself emanating, right? And what's interesting is those stars and the moon and the sun all reflect this one source of light. So what God is doing here is he is delegating or breaking pieces of himself, um, of this light of his essence, of his source, and he is putting it into what we know to be the lights in the sky. And they're meant for to divide the day from the night. You have the sun come up during the day. You have the moon, which is so very interesting because the moon doesn't have its own light. The moon borrows the light from the sun and it reflects it for the night. Just enough light where it's visible, but it's no longer day. Okay, so creative order here. We see God is very intentional with how he's creating. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. Again, one of his attributes of being kind and being good, to give light upon the earth so that we won't be in darkness. I mean, when you're in darkness and no one is there to guide you or nobody wants to guide you, it's not very loving. So God shows us that he wants us to have vision. He wants us to see. He doesn't want us to stumble and fall. He wants us to have light. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about the moon, or the sun, the moon, and the stars, right? And again, the it's so representative because what happens when you become a believer, when you become born again, you begin to look at the light of the sun, S-O-N, who is Christ, right? That the sun, S-U-N, represents, and us as the moon, that again, we don't have a light of our own to reflect. The light that we carry is the reflection of the light of God, right? So you see that in his creation, it actually is so intertwined. It's so representative of humanity. All this culminates in how he deals with humanity. And it's so beautiful because he's making this creation for another creation, right? That's us, by the way. And it's like it's so intertwined. It's in the DNA of just how God loves us, and even how he is creating is so intentional, and it's so parallel to how he deals with us. Again, in this case, it's like we're the moon, right? When God is the sun, and then the stars is talking about angelic beings that occupy the host of heaven, you know. So it's all symbolic and it's all very real, but it's all very little as well. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good, and the evening and the morning were the fourth day. So at this point, where we at? 96 hours? Is that it? Is my math correct? Don't judge me, guys. Correct me if I'm wrong, but don't judge me. But it's the fourth day, all right? It's the fourth day. We're going to leave it there. We're going to leave it there. But here's the message, guys. Here is the message. Just as God created the light in the heavens to display his light, to display his goodness, that's why we were created. That's why We walk around many times feeling empty and void because, again, before God says, let there be light, and makes us into one of his reflecting lights, we're in darkness. We're void. We don't have a sense of purpose. We don't have a sense of identity. So when God comes knocking at your door and says, open up, let there be light, open up your door. Give him an opportunity to shed light in your life. Now, I will say this. After being in darkness for so long, it's not comfortable to come to the light. Because think about it. When you're sleeping and someone just suddenly turns the light off, it's uncomfortable. You can't see. You have to adjust and get comfortable in it. And that's what happens when you come to Christ. You come to the light and it's like you're exposed. You're naked. God knows everything about you. And at that moment in time, you understand that he knows everything about you. And so you feel vulnerable. The good thing is that God is never there to shame you. He's there to give you the truth of your condition so that you can understand and get on board with what he's doing, because he doesn't want you to blindly and ignorantly follow him, which is why he gives us so much information, which is why he gives us teachers to teach and pastors to preach, or preachers to preach. It's so that we can understand what the plan is here, so that we feel comfortable enough and trust him enough, knowing that he's not here to shame us, but he's here to cultivate goodness now and to say, hey, this was dark and I'm removing it and I'm separating what's darkness and light and I'm calling it good. So please trust in God, learn about him, pray, talk to him, draw closer to him, and understand that God's intention towards us is for good. It's not for harm. It's not for judgment. It's not to abuse us. It's not to condemn us. It's to love us. It's to partner with us. It's to have a family. And as we go on, we're going to see how everything that God is creating in this world is meant for him to give to someone. And with that comes a great responsibility. Anyway, guys, happy Friday. Happy Friday. I pray that you guys have an amazing day. Please be safe, stay prayed up, draw close to the Lord. And if you have any questions or concerns, even if it's a random question, that as long as it's biblical, you guys are more than welcome to ask. And I'll respond. I'll respond if I can, if it's suitable, if it's in alignment with what we're doing here. But anyway, guys, be blessed in Jesus' name.